The stars shimmered like distant diamonds against the velvet black of space, their light a reminder of the vast unknown. For decades, humanity had looked up at that cosmos, filled with wonder and longing. In the year 2047, we finally became a player in the universal game, a decision that would change everything. It began on a crisp autumn evening, the kind where the air felt electric with possibility. A signal had been received, one that echoed through the halls of the United Nations Extraterrestrial Affairs Office. The message had come from a distant system, the name of which was unpronounceable in human tongues. They called themselves the Zalkai, and their arrival had been both anticipated and feared. At first, we thought it was an invitation, an opportunity to forge a new interstellar alliance. A select group of scientists, diplomats, and military personnel gathered to receive the Zalkai emissaries. Among them was Dr. Alara Nguyen, a brilliant astrobiologist who had devoted her life to studying the cosmos and the life within it. At 29, she was a beacon of hope and intellect in a room filled with uncertainty. As the Zalkai descended upon Earth, their ship glided through the atmosphere like a shimmering mirage. It was a craft beyond our comprehension, smooth, radiant, and pulsating with a light that seemed to breathe. The air crackled as the ship landed, leaving behind a faint light trail. We had prepared for a grand welcoming, but the reality was far more overwhelming. The Zalkai emerged, tall and elegant, their forms shifting slightly as though they were made of liquid light. Their skin glowed with an iridescent hue, and their eyes, large and multifaceted, seemed to absorb the very essence of their surroundings. They spoke in harmonious tones, a melodic language that resonated within us. Dr. Nguyen stood at the forefront, her heart racing with excitement and trepidation. "Welcome, representatives of Earth," one of the Zalkai said, its voice a cascade of notes that wrapped around us like silk. "We come in peace, to share knowledge and to learn from your kind." But as the initial pleasantries faded, the conversation took a turn. They examined our weapons, our defenses, drones, lasers, the latest in kinetic technology. The Zalkai laughed, their laughter a sound both beautiful and chilling. "Primitive," one of them remarked, a glimmer of amusement in its multifaceted eyes. "You still rely on such crude mechanisms for your survival. This world must be dangerous indeed." Dr. Nguyen felt a knot tighten in her stomach. "We've evolved to protect ourselves," she replied, her voice steady but laced with frustration. "These tools reflect our history, our struggle to survive." "Survival?" the Zalkai echoed, their tone playful yet condescending. "Survival is a concept far beneath us, you will see." The tension thickened in the air. Humanity had always prided itself on its ingenuity, its ability to adapt and evolve. Yet here were beings who had transcended what we deemed necessary. As they showcased their advanced technologies, a mere flick of their wrist could conjure a holographic display of galaxies. The weight of their derision settled over us. Days turned into weeks, and while the Zalkai engaged in discussions, they also began to test our limits, pushing us into scenarios where they could demonstrate their prowess. Dr. Nguyen grew increasingly concerned. They were fascinating, but their arrogance was unsettling. With every display of their capabilities, it became clear they regarded us not as equals, but as a quaint curiosity. Then came the night that changed everything. An emergency alert shattered the calm of the headquarters. "An anomaly detected," a voice crackled through the intercom. "Unidentified vessels entering Earth's orbit. Multiple contacts." Dr. Nguyen raced to the command center, her heart pounding. The Zalkai were there, their expressions shifting from amusement to something resembling concern. "What is happening?" one asked, its melodic voice now edged with urgency. "Unknown ships," the general said, his face taut. "They're approaching fast. We need to prepare." "Prepare what?" one of the Zalkai scoffed. "Your primitive arms will be of no use against an advanced civilization." The words hung in the air like a dark omen. Dr. Nguyen's mind raced. "What if they are hostile?" she questioned, urgency fueling her voice. "We can't take that risk." As the screens flickered to life, the vessels became clearer. They were jagged and menacing, their forms stark against the backdrop of the stars. The commander of the Earth forces, General Wright, glared at the Zalkai. "We may need to use our weapons." They laughed again, the sound now grating against Dr. Nguyen's nerves. "You will see," one of them taunted, confidence radiating from their form. The general's voice was resolute. "We must be ready." As the unknown ships breached the atmosphere, panic surged through the command center. The Zalkai's demeanor shifted, the lightness in their eyes dimmed, replaced by an awareness of the danger that approached. "Coordinates locked," shouted a technician. "Ready to fire." "Wait!" Dr. Nguyen called out, her intuition screaming at her. What if they're not here to attack? What if they're searching for something? But it was too late. The command was given, and the Earth's defenses unleashed a volley of plasma fire into the sky. The missiles screamed upward, streaking through the night like a brilliant cascade of stars. The Zalkai fell silent, their faces a mixture of shock and intrigue. Then, without warning, the unknown vessels returned fire. A blinding flash lit the sky, a pulse of energy that rippled through the air. The ground shook as explosions echoed across the cityscape. Alarms blared, and chaos erupted. The Zalkai, who had once mocked our primitive technology, now stood transfixed as the reality of war unfurled around them. "Your actions have consequences," one of them shouted, their voice drowned out by the cacophony of destruction. The battle raged on, the unknown ships retaliating with precision and power that far surpassed our own. Dr. Nguyen's heart raced. "We need to communicate," she shouted, but her words were lost in the storm of chaos. As she turned, she saw one of the Zalkai stride forward, its hand raised. The air shimmered around it, and suddenly the explosions paused, the chaos stilled. A shimmering barrier enveloped the command center, shielding them from the onslaught. "What are you doing?" Dr. Nguyen gasped, realization dawning. "We will not allow you to destroy yourselves," the Zalkai replied, their tone now serious. "But your recklessness endangers us all. We warned you." In that moment, clarity pierced through the confusion. They had not come to Earth to conquer, they had come to protect. Their knowledge, their arrogance, it stemmed from a place of survival, just as ours did. As the battle outside intensified, Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of determination. "We need to reach them," she cried, her voice cutting through the tension. "If they're here, it's because they need something. We can help." With a flick of her wrist, she activated the communication system, her voice echoing across frequencies. "Unknown vessels, this is Dr. Alara Nguyen from Earth. We wish to communicate." A tense silence enveloped the command center. The Zalkai stood vigilant, their barrier holding strong. The response came not as words, but as a surge of energy, a pulse that resonated through the air. "Stand down," echoed a voice, deep and resonant, vibrating through the fabric of reality itself. "We seek not war, but peace." The unknown ships ceased their assault, hovering in the atmosphere, a reluctant truce forming. Dr. Nguyen seized the moment. "We are willing to negotiate. We are not your enemies." The tension hung thick, but slowly the ships began to lower their defenses, as if waiting for an invitation to speak. The Zalkai lowered their barrier, the shimmering light dissipating like morning fog. "You must understand," one of them said, their voice still melodic, but now edged with urgency. "Your actions have set into motion a chain of events that could lead to destruction on a scale you cannot comprehend." As the two factions began to communicate, the room filled with a mixture of fear and hope. The aliens spoke of an ancient conflict, one that had been waged across galaxies. Their presence on Earth was not merely curiosity. They were here to protect us from a greater threat. As the dialogue continued, Dr. Nguyen felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "We can work together," she urged, her eyes locked onto the Zalkai. "We can use our knowledge, our strengths. We can create an alliance against this threat." The Zalkai regarded her with a mix of respect and intrigue. "Perhaps humanity is not as primitive as we thought," one said, its tone softer. "You have shown resilience, and now a willingness to learn." As the first light of dawn broke through the command center's windows, a fragile peace began to form. The Zalkai and the unknown vessels shared their knowledge, a bridge slowly built through understanding and cooperation. Dr. Nguyen felt a profound connection to her allies. She understood now that growth was not just about personal achievement, but about the bonds forged in moments of vulnerability and courage. She had become more than a scientist. She was a leader, a friend, and a warrior in a fight for survival. In the midst of the fray, she caught a glimpse of Joel, their form glowing with energy as they rallied their people. "Together," Joel shouted, their voice piercing through the din. "Together, we will prevail." As the energy waves surged through the battlefield, the Threx ships faltered. Their systems malfunctioned, and a sense of panic rippled through their ranks. Dr. Nguyen felt the adrenaline spike. They had seized a crucial moment. The combined knowledge of Earth and the Zalkai had created an unexpected advantage, and the tides were beginning to turn. But victory wasn't guaranteed. In the chaos, Dr. Nguyen's heart raced as she navigated through the command center, issuing orders. "Divert energy to the secondary line," she called. "We need to ensure our defenses hold." With each command, she felt her confidence grow. The more she spoke, the more she realized she was not just guiding others, she was influencing the course of events. Her insights, once dismissed, were now crucial to the battle plan. Joel, Kale, and even the Zalkai commanders sought her perspective, respecting her expertise in biology and tactics. "Your understanding of ecosystems has helped us adapt," Joel remarked, a note of admiration in their voice. "It is a perspective we lacked." Dr. Nguyen smiled, a wave of pride swelling within her. "And your understanding of energy and technology has opened our eyes. We're stronger together, and this is just the beginning." As the battle raged, she witnessed the transformation of those around her. The once arrogant Zalkai, who had mocked humanity's technology, were now embracing collaboration. They engaged actively, sharing their own strategies while respecting the insights of Earth's fighters. Kale, too, had shifted from a desperate survivor to a leader, inspiring his people with newfound resolve. The moments of doubt that had clouded Dr. Nguyen's mind earlier began to dissolve. Here, in the thick of the fight, she realized that her fears stemmed from a lack of confidence in herself, but she was discovering her own strength. The lessons she had learned from her interactions with the Zalkai, her leadership role, and the gravity of their situation helped her embrace the truth. She was capable, and her voice mattered. "Dr. Nguyen, there's a breach in Sector 4, a technician shouted, snapping her back to reality. "Send reinforcements immediately," she ordered, feeling a surge of urgency. "And redirect our energy shields to compensate. We need to contain them." As they executed her commands, Dr. Nguyen felt a rush of empowerment. This was more than survival, it was about mastering the chaos. Each moment demanded her full attention, and she relished the responsibility. The fear that had once gripped her was now transformed into determination. In the midst of the battle, she spotted Joel maneuvering through the chaos, guiding their forces with a grace that mesmerized her. "Joel," she called, her voice barely rising above the din. "We need to integrate our defenses. Can you rally the Zalkai to create a protective perimeter around the refugees?" Joel nodded, the confidence in their demeanor reassuring. "Consider it done. Your vision will guide us." As they moved into action, Dr. Nguyen's admiration for Joel deepened. They had evolved from a seemingly superior being into a true collaborator, embracing the strength of unity. In their eyes, she saw a reflection of her own growth, a journey from doubt to confidence, from isolation to connection. Amid the chaos, the Threx pressed forward, their ships regaining momentum. Dr. Nguyen's heart raced as she saw Kale's ship under attack. "Kale, fall back. Reassess your position," she shouted, her mind racing with the implications of losing their ally. "Understood," Kale replied, pulling back to regroup with the Earth's forces. Dr. Nguyen took a deep breath, pushing aside her fears. "We need to concentrate our fire on their lead ship. It's the command center for their forces." "On it," a technician responded, fingers flying over the control panel. As the energy blast from Earth and Zalkai combined, the lead Threx ship faltered, sparks flying as it absorbed the brunt of their assault. Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of triumph. They were finding their rhythm, each team member stepping into their roles, their strengths shining in this crucible of chaos. Yet, even in this moment of triumph, doubts lingered at the edge of her consciousness. What would happen if they were successful? Would the alliance dissolve back into old habits? She had witnessed the arrogance of the Zalkai. What if they returned to their aloof ways once the danger had passed? But as she looked around, she noticed something profound. This battle had changed everyone. The sense of purpose that filled the room transcended mere survival. They were building something greater, a bond of trust that had been forged through shared struggle. In the aftermath of the energy surge, the Threx vessels began to retreat, confusion spreading among their ranks. Kale's voice broke through the comms. "We are holding them. They are faltering." Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of pride. They were succeeding. But just as the tide appeared to turn, an alarm blared throughout the command center. "Warning! Incoming vessel detected. Unknown signature." Panic surged through the room as a massive Threx mothership emerged from the shadows, dwarfing everything in its path. "This is the true threat," Zhou whispered, their eyes wide with realization. Dr. Nguyen's heart sank. "We have to come up with a new plan fast. Rally the forces. We cannot lose this momentum," Kale urged, urgency echoing in his voice. "We need to hit it before it can fire." As they scrambled to form a new strategy, Dr. Nguyen felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. The fear of failure crept back, but she pushed it aside, channeling that energy into action. "We need to create a diversion," she suggested, her mind racing. A two-pronged attack: one team can create a distraction, while the other focuses on disabling their power core. "Brilliant," Zhou exclaimed. "We can utilize the terrain to our advantage." As they laid out their plan, Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of camaraderie. They were no longer just separate species fighting for survival. They were a collective force, a coalition bound by purpose. She embraced the connections forged in this crucible of conflict, knowing that they would shape the future. As the teams divided, she found herself at the forefront of the distraction. "Let's make some noise," she called, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Remember, our strength lies in our unity." The Zalkai and Kale's people rallied around her, their resolve palpable. Together, they launched a barrage of attacks aimed at drawing the mothership's fire, creating openings for the secondary team to slip in unnoticed. Dr. Nguyen's heart raced as they executed the plan. She led her group, dodging blasts and maneuvering through debris, each step a testament to their determination. The energy of their shared mission fueled her, and she felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was her moment not just to survive, but to thrive. "Dr. Nguyen, watch out!" a voice shouted, pulling her from her thoughts. A Threx fighter surged toward her, its weapons primed. Instinctively, she dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the blast that followed. The close call jolted her senses, igniting a fire within her. "Keep moving. Don't let them flank us," she yelled, rallying her team as they pressed forward. As they reached the base of the mothership, her mind raced with possibilities. "We need to find an access point. There has to be a way inside." "Over here," a Zalkai soldier pointed to a hatch partially hidden in the debris. With a shared resolve, they broke into the entrance, their unity carrying them through the darkness. Inside, the ship hummed with energy, a pulsating heart of power and menace. "Stay alert," she warned, her instincts on high alert. "We need to find the core and disable it before it's too late." The corridors twisted and turned, but the team moved with a purpose. As they advanced, they encountered Threx soldiers, their forms menacing in the low light. A skirmish broke out, and Dr. Nguyen felt the adrenaline heighten. This was a battle of wills, and she was determined to win. "Push forward," she shouted, her voice filled with conviction. "We can't let fear stop us." As they fought, her understanding of the Threx deepened. They were not just monsters, they were desperate beings driven by survival. She caught a glimpse of their faces, fear mirrored in their eyes. "Why are you doing this?" she shouted during the chaos. "We can find another way." The Threx soldier hesitated, confusion flickering across their features. "We have no choice," they snarled. "Our world is dying." In that moment, Dr. Nguyen felt a pang of empathy. The Threks were fighting not just for dominance, but for their survival. "We can help you," she shouted, her voice ringing with desperation. "You don't have to destroy us. There's a way to coexist." The soldier hesitated, confusion flickering across their features. "We have no choice," they snarled. "Our world is dying." In that moment, Dr. Nguyen felt a pang of empathy. The Threks were fighting not just for dominance, but for their survival. "We can help you," she shouted, her voice ringing with desperation. "You don't have to destroy us. There's a way to coexist." The soldiers' resolve faltered. For a brief moment, their weapon lowered, uncertainty replacing the aggression in their stance. Dr. Nguyen saw the flicker of hope in their eyes, and it struck her like lightning. This was the essence of what they were fighting for, not just survival, but understanding. "Let's find a solution together," she implored, her heart racing. "We can combine our knowledge to create a sustainable future. It doesn't have to end in violence." Before the Threk soldier could respond, a blast echoed through the corridor, striking the wall nearby. Dr. Nguyen instinctively pushed the Threks to the ground, shielding them from the debris. "Stay low," she ordered, her instincts kicking in. As the chaos of battle resumed, Dr. Nguyen felt a shift within herself. Here she was, facing a formidable enemy, yet her instincts leaned toward compassion and collaboration. It was a revelation her growth was not just about overcoming her fears, but also about recognizing the humanity, or in this case, the sentience in others, even those she had been taught to see as threats. "Move," she shouted to her team, urging them onward. "We need to reach the core." They pressed forward, adrenaline surging through her veins. Dr. Nguyen had stepped into a leadership role she had never expected to occupy, but now she felt the weight of her responsibility. Her earlier doubts about her place in the alliance faded as she embraced the reality that her insights, her compassion, and her bravery were crucial. As they reached a large chamber, the pulsating core of the mothership loomed before them, a swirling mass of energy. Dr. Nguyen's heart raced. They had made it. She turned to her team, the determination in their eyes echoing her own. "We have to disable it. Zhal, can you manipulate the energy flows?" "Of course," Zhal replied, their presence steadying her nerves. "But I will need your guidance to ensure it doesn't destabilize." Dr. Nguyen nodded, her mind racing through the possibilities. They had practiced this in simulations, but now it was real. "Let's coordinate. I'll give you the structural readings from the core, and you can direct the energy flow." As they worked, the bond between them deepened. The Zalkai's respect for her grew with every passing moment, and she felt a shift in her own understanding of leadership. It was not about authority, but about collaboration, listening, and adapting. She was no longer just Dr. Nguyen, the scientist. She was a part of something larger, a web of connections that transcended species. "Now," she called as Zhal directed the energy. The core shimmered, light pulsating in response to their efforts. "We can do this together." The energy surged, crackling through the chamber, and for a moment, everything seemed to hang in balance. But just as they were about to succeed, alarms blared, and the mothership shook violently. "We have to hurry," Zhal shouted, their voice urgent. Dr. Nguyen felt the pressure mount. "Redirect the energy to stabilize it. We can't let it explode." Zhal focused, their features taut with concentration. Dr. Nguyen felt a deepening trust in Zhal, a sense of partnership that transcended their differences. In that moment, she understood that growth was about vulnerability and reliance on one another. They were no longer just allies. They were friends, bound by shared purpose and the belief in a better future. As they manipulated the core's energy, the Threk soldier from earlier reappeared, disarmed but resolute. "What are you doing?" they asked, confusion etched on their face. "We're trying to save your ship," Dr. Nguyen replied, determination in her voice. "If we disable the core, we can prevent the destruction that follows. We don't want to harm you." The soldier looked torn, their internal struggle visible. "You're willing to help us?" "Of course," she said. We can find a way for our worlds to coexist. But we need your help. We can't do this without each other. The Threx soldier nodded slowly, stepping forward. I'll assist you, they said, their voice steady. I can guide you to the central control system. Dr. Nguyen's heart swelled with hope. Thank you. Together, we can change this. As they raced to the control system, Dr. Nguyen felt a new sense of clarity. Every challenge they faced had shaped her, each interaction deepening her understanding of leadership and cooperation. She was no longer the timid scientist. She was a force to be reckoned with, a voice for unity. With the Threx soldier leading the way, they reached the control room, a vast expanse of screens and blinking lights. We need to disable the weapon systems first, the soldier instructed. If we do that, we can redirect power to stabilize the core. Dr. Nguyen's mind raced. Let's work quickly. Joel, can you manipulate the systems while I guide the Threx on how to interface with our technology? Together, they moved in synchrony, voices mingling in a whirlwind of commands. Joel's hands danced over the controls, while Dr. Nguyen translated Earth's technology into terms the Threx soldier could understand. It was a blend of knowledge, a collaboration that exemplified their growth. As they worked, she felt the connections deepening between them. The Threx soldier, once an enemy, had become an ally, and Zhal's respect for her had transformed into something profound, a partnership rooted in mutual understanding. The ship shuddered again, a reminder of the urgency. We're running out of time, Kale's voice crackled through the comms. The Threx are regrouping. We need to act now. Dr. Nguyen focused on the task at hand, channeling her anxiety into determination. We can do this, she shouted, encouraging her team as they maneuvered through the complex systems. Finally, the weapon systems were disabled. Now, let's reroute the energy, the Threx soldier urged. Joel coordinated the energy flow, and Dr. Nguyen felt the atmosphere shift as they executed the final commands. The core flickered, light brightening as it stabilized. It's working, she exclaimed, a thrill of triumph surging through her. But just as they thought they had succeeded, alarms blared, and the core began to destabilize. No, what's happening? Zhal shouted, their voice tinged with panic. Dr. Nguyen's mind raced. We need to reverse the energy flow, now. On it. The Threx soldier responded, fingers flying over the controls, working in tandem with Zhal. Dr. Nguyen felt the weight of their combined trust, a testament to their journey. As they maneuvered the controls, the chamber shook violently, the energy pulsing around them. Dr. Nguyen could feel the power building, threatening to unleash chaos. Focus, she urged, her voice a beacon in the storm. We can do this together. They worked as one, the culmination of their growth manifesting in this moment. The energy surged, the core stabilizing as they redirected the flow. Finally, with one last command, the core pulsed and glowed, stabilizing as the alarms quieted. Breathless, Dr. Nguyen turned to her team. We did it. Cheers erupted, a wave of relief washing over them. The Threx soldier looked at her, awe mingled with gratitude. You truly wanted to save us, they said, their voice steady. I see now that we have much to learn from each other. Dr. Nguyen felt a warmth blossom in her chest. We all do. This isn't just about survival, it's about understanding. Together, we can find a way forward. As they exited the control room, the reality of their victory began to sink in. They had not only disabled a destructive force, but also forged connections that transcended their differences. Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of purpose deeper than ever before. She had not only grown as a leader, she had become a beacon of hope, embodying the unity they had fought for. The battle outside was shifting. The remaining Threx ships, realizing their command had faltered, began to retreat. The coalition forces celebrated, their joy palpable in the air. But Dr. Nguyen knew that the work was far from over. They had only just begun to understand one another. As she walked through the throng of her allies, Joel approached her, their expression a mix of pride and admiration. You have changed the course of this mission, Dr. Nguyen. Your vision has united us. Her heart swelled. We did this together. Each one of us contributed, and that's what makes this victory meaningful." Kale joined them, a look of determination etched on his face. "What now? We cannot allow the Threx to regroup and return." Dr. Nguyen nodded, the weight of leadership settling comfortably on her shoulders. "We need to offer them an alternative. This victory must pave the way for dialogue. We can help them find a sustainable future. They don't have to resort to violence." Joel's eyes glimmered with understanding. "You believe we can coexist, even with those who once sought to destroy us?" The potential for collaboration and understanding. If we can shift the narrative from conflict to cooperation, we can create a new future for both our peoples. Joel nodded, their expression thoughtful. "It is a bold vision, but one worth pursuing. I, too, have seen the value of unity. My people were once isolated, convinced of our superiority. This experience has opened my eyes to the power of collaboration." Kale chimed in. "The Threx may not easily accept this idea. Their history is filled with mistrust and desperation." Dr. Nguyen understood the challenges ahead, but felt a fire ignite within her. "We must lead by example. Let's establish a council of representatives from Earth, the Zalkai, and the Threx. We can begin the dialogue, sharing our knowledge and resources to address the challenges we all face." As they strategized, Dr. Nguyen reflected on her own journey. Months ago, she had felt like an outsider, unsure of her place in a galaxy teeming with powerful beings. But now, she was no longer that uncertain scientist. She had evolved into a leader, someone whose voice held weight and could inspire change. Her thoughts were interrupted as a Threx soldier approached. It was the same one she had encountered earlier, their features softened by the glow of shared purpose. "You spoke of coexistence," the soldier said, their voice steady. "I want to help. What must I do?" Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of hope. "Thank you. Your willingness to engage is the first step. We need to gather a group willing to discuss our futures, discuss what we can offer each other." "I will rally those willing to listen," the Threx replied. "We are afraid, but we are also tired of fighting. Perhaps we can find a way." As the soldier walked away, Dr. Nguyen felt an exhilarating sense of possibility. Each interaction was shaping a narrative of growth, not just for her, but for all involved. She had inspired change in others, and in turn, she was transforming herself. "We should prepare for the meeting," Joel suggested, their voice brimming with enthusiasm. "Let's show the Threx what we have to offer. We have advanced technology, knowledge of ecosystems, and techniques for sustainable living." Kale nodded, determination etched on his features. "We can illustrate how collaboration can benefit all of us. Our worlds are intertwined, and by working together, we can tackle the challenges that threaten us." Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of pride as she watched her friends step into their roles. They were growing, too. Joel had evolved from a proud, aloof figure to a collaborative partner who recognized the value of different perspectives. Kale, once focused solely on survival, was now embracing the larger vision of unity. Over the next few days, they worked tirelessly to prepare for the council meeting. Dr. Nguyen collaborated with Joel to create presentations that showcased the benefits of cooperation, while Kale gathered testimonials from those who had fought alongside them. Each task deepened their bonds, fostering a sense of trust and mutual respect. One evening, as they gathered in the command center, Joel turned to Dr. Nguyen, their expression serious. "You have influenced my perspective profoundly. I see now that true strength lies in vulnerability, in the willingness to embrace collaboration." Dr. Nguyen smiled, feeling the warmth of camaraderie. "And you've shown me the power of vision and courage. Your leadership has inspired many, including me. We are not just fighting for survival, we are fighting for a future." As the day of the council meeting approached, anticipation filled the air. Representatives from the Threx arrived, their expressions a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. Dr. Nguyen understood the gravity of the moment. This was a pivotal opportunity to change the course of their histories. The meeting began with tension thick in the air. The Threx representatives, led by the soldier who had first approached her, took their seats. Dr. Nguyen stood at the forefront, flanked by Zhao and Kale. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her stomach. "We are here today not to discuss our differences, but to explore our shared potential. We face many challenges: environmental degradation, resource scarcity, and the threats of conflict. But together, we can find solutions." The room was silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. She could see the skepticism in the eyes of the Threx representatives, but also a glimmer of interest. "We have each seen the cost of war," she continued. "Let's not allow our history to dictate our future." Joel stepped forward, their voice resonant and commanding. "Our people have long relied on isolation and superiority, but we have learned that true power lies in connection and understanding. The fight against the Threx was not merely against your forces, but against the ignorance of our own prejudices." Kale added, "We must break down the walls between us. We can learn from each other's strengths and weaknesses, and together, we can build a better future for our worlds." Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of hope as she watched the Threx representatives listen, some nodding in agreement, while others remained skeptical. But that was progress. They were engaging, even if hesitantly. As the meeting progressed, Dr. Nguyen felt her confidence grow. She facilitated discussions, encouraging dialogue and emphasizing the importance of collaboration. She shared stories of their battles, illustrating how unity had transformed their approach to conflict. One of the Threx representatives, a fierce warrior with bright blue scales, finally spoke. "You ask us to abandon our ways, to trust those we once saw as enemies. Why should we believe you?" Dr. Nguyen met their gaze, her heart pounding. "Because we have witnessed the consequences of our conflict. We have seen loss and destruction, and we have felt the weight of despair. We are not asking you to forget your past, but to envision a future where our worlds can thrive together." The warrior's expression softened, the fierce glint in their eyes fading. And what would that future look like? Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of hope. It would be a future where our knowledge and resources are shared. We could work together on sustainable technologies, share agricultural practices, and create pathways for mutual aid. Together, we could heal our planets and prevent further conflict. Silence enveloped the room as her words settled. She could see the wheels turning in the minds of the Threx representatives. They were contemplating her vision, considering the possibility of collaboration. "I want to believe you," the warrior said finally, their voice low but steady. "But how can we be sure that you will keep your word, that this isn't just another ploy?" Dr. Nguyen felt the weight of responsibility. "Trust is built through actions, not just words. We are willing to prove our intentions. Let's start with a joint initiative, a project that benefits both our peoples. We can create a council to oversee our cooperation, ensuring accountability and transparency." The room buzzed with murmurs as the representatives exchanged glances. Dr. Nguyen felt her heart race. This was a pivotal moment, a chance to solidify their vision. "Very well," the warrior said, their tone contemplative. "We will consider your proposal. But know this, if you betray our trust, the consequences will be dire." Dr. Nguyen nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "We accept that responsibility. We are committed to making this work." As the meeting concluded, a sense of cautious optimism filled the air. They had taken the first step toward a new future, one where collaboration could replace conflict. As the Threx representatives departed, Dr. Nguyen felt a wave of relief wash over her. "This is just the beginning," Joel said, their voice filled with hope. "We've opened a door to possibilities." Kale clapped her shoulder, pride evident in his gaze. "You did well, Dr. Nguyen. Your vision inspired them." But even as she basked in their praise, Dr. Nguyen knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges. Trust would not come easily, and the scars of war would take time to heal. But she was determined. She had grown from a timid scientist into a leader, capable of influencing change and fostering unity. In the days that followed, Dr. Nguyen, Joel, and Kale worked tirelessly to establish the joint initiative. They collaborated with HFY representatives to outline projects focused on sustainable technologies and resource sharing. Each meeting further solidified their bonds, transforming skepticism into trust. Dr. Nguyen found herself reflecting on her growth throughout this journey. She had learned to embrace vulnerability, to seek collaboration over conflict. She had witnessed the transformative power of compassion and understanding, not only in her own life, but in those around her. Joel had become a close ally, their partnership a testament to the potential for change. Cale had stepped into a leadership role, showing unwavering support and commitment to the cause. Together, they were creating a new narrative, one of hope, resilience, and unity. One afternoon, as they gathered to discuss the next steps, Dr. Nguyen felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without both of you," she said, her voice sincere. "Your support has meant the world to me." Joel smiled, their glow radiating warmth. "You have inspired us all, Dr. Nguyen. Your vision has opened our eyes to the possibilities of unity. We are proud to stand with you." Cale nodded, determination etched on his features. "This is our fight now, together. We have the chance to create a legacy that transcends our individual histories." As they moved forward, Dr. Nguyen felt the weight of her past lift. She had grown into someone capable of leading change, of fostering connections that had once seemed impossible. Her, a tapestry of possibilities woven with the threads of hope, collaboration, and understanding. Days turned into weeks as the joint initiative took shape. Dr. Nguyen found herself immersed in the intricacies of interspecies collaboration. They met regularly with HFY representatives, brainstorming ideas for sustainable technologies and sharing practices from both worlds. This process was more than just practical, it was a lesson in patience and perseverance. During one of their meetings, the HFY warrior who had initially challenged Dr. Nguyen, named Kor, stood up to present an idea. "We have a technology that can purify water, but we've been using it to enhance our military capabilities. Perhaps we can adapt it for peaceful purposes. Our planet suffers from water scarcity, and your world has similar issues." Dr. Nguyen felt a spark of excitement. "That's a brilliant idea, Kor. We could combine your purification technology with our renewable energy systems. It could create sustainable water sources for both our planets." Kor's blue scales glinted with pride as they continued. "This could be the foundation of our collaboration, creating resources that benefit both our peoples. But it will require trust. My people need to see the results quickly." Dr. Nguyen understood the stakes. "We'll work diligently to ensure that this project succeeds. Let's set clear goals and timelines so everyone is accountable." As they outlined the project's scope, Dr. Nguyen felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. Each decision they made was a step toward rebuilding trust, and she was determined to uphold her commitments. The process was as much about personal growth as it was about interspecies cooperation. Meanwhile, Joel, who had started as a distant ally, had become a true friend. They often stayed late after meetings, discussing not just work, but their hopes and fears. Joel had confided in her about the burden of leadership they felt, and Dr. Nguyen shared her own struggles with self-doubt. In these moments, they grew closer, forging a bond rooted in vulnerability and mutual support. One evening, as they worked late in the command center, Joel looked up from the data displays, their expression contemplative. "Dr. Nguyen, do you ever feel like we're not doing enough? That the stakes are so high, and we're just small pieces in a much larger game?" Dr. Nguyen considered their words, feeling the weight of her own fears. "I do. Sometimes it feels overwhelming. But then I remind myself that every small step counts. Each project we launch, each relationship we build, is part of a larger change. We can't fix everything at once, but we can start somewhere." Joel nodded, their gaze thoughtful. "You're right. I've spent so long focused on the bigger picture that I forgot the importance of those smaller victories. Each connection we make strengthens our cause." Their conversations became a source of inspiration for both of them. Joel's insights helped Dr. Nguyen see the value in their efforts, while she encouraged them to embrace their emotions and fears, rather than suppressing them. This mutual growth transformed their working relationship into a profound friendship. As the water purification project progressed, Dr. Nguyen and Joel visited a Threx facility to see the technology in action. The scale of the operations was impressive, and Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of excitement as they observed the Threx engineers demonstrate the purification process. Kor stood beside them, pride evident in their stance. "This technology has saved many lives, but we must adapt it for peaceful purposes," Kor said, their tone serious. "We must ensure it is used for the betterment of our worlds, not for warfare." Dr. Nguyen felt a rush of respect for Kor. "You're leading by example, Kor. By showing your people the benefits of cooperation, you're paving the way for a brighter future." As they toured the facility, Dr. Nguyen realized how deeply ingrained the values of trust and responsibility were becoming in her own life. She had stepped into a role where her decisions could impact not just her people, but an entire species. The weight was heavy, but she embraced it, driven by a vision that transcended fear. Weeks turned into months, and the council meetings became routine. Progress was being made, but there were still moments of tension. The scars of war were not easily healed, and mistrust lingered beneath the surface. During one meeting, a faction of Threx warriors expressed skepticism about their cooperation, demanding to see immediate results. Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of frustration, but knew that responding with anger would not help. Instead, she took a deep breath and spoke calmly. "I understand your concerns. We've all suffered losses, and it's natural to feel distrustful. But we are committed to showing you the benefits of this partnership. Let's set measurable goals and review our progress regularly. This is a process, not an overnight fix." Kor nodded in agreement, standing alongside Dr. Nguyen. "We need to show our people that this alliance can yield tangible results. If we work together, we can rebuild trust." The discussions continued, but Dr. Nguyen felt a shift in the atmosphere. They were no longer just talking at each other. They were genuinely engaged in a dialogue. As the meeting concluded, she could see the Threx representatives exchanging glances, considering the possibility of collaboration. After the meeting, Joel approached her, a proud smile on their face. "You handled that beautifully, Dr. Nguyen. You were calm and assertive, and it made a difference." "Thank you, Joel," she replied, a sense of accomplishment swelling within her. "I'm learning how to navigate these challenges. It's not just about the science. It's about understanding the emotions involved." Joel nodded, their gaze warm. "You've grown so much since we first met. You've become a beacon of hope for many." As the weeks passed, the water purification project began to yield results. They successfully set up the first operational unit, and the transformation was awe-inspiring. Dr. Nguyen and Joel stood side by side, watching as clean water flowed from the purification system. Kor joined them, a rare smile gracing their features. "This is a monumental achievement. Our people will see the benefits, and it will strengthen our alliance." Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of pride swell within her. "This is just the beginning. We have so much more to accomplish together." In the days following the successful launch, Dr. Nguyen realized how deeply the experience had changed her. She was no longer the uncertain scientist who had first set foot on the Threx mothership. She had become a leader, a catalyst for change, and someone who believed in the power of unity. As they prepared for a public demonstration of the purification technology, Dr. Nguyen took a moment to reflect on her journey. She had faced fear and doubt, but each challenge had pushed her to grow, to embrace her role in this larger narrative. During the demonstration, Dr. Nguyen stood alongside Kor and Joel, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. They presented their collaboration to a crowd that included representatives from both Earth and Threx. As the water flowed clean and clear, cheers erupted, a wave of relief and hope washing over the audience. "This is a testament to what we can achieve together," Dr. Nguyen declared, her voice steady and resolute. "Today marks a new chapter for both our peoples, a future built on collaboration, trust, and shared success." As she spoke, She felt the weight of her words sink in. This was not just about technology, it was about healing and understanding. It was about embracing the connections they had forged, the friendships that had blossomed amidst the chaos. After the demonstration, Dr. Nguyen found herself surrounded by THREX engineers and scientists, all eager to discuss the technology and share their ideas. She realized that this was what she had always wanted to bridge gaps, to foster understanding, and to create a world where collaboration was the norm. As the weeks turned into months, Dr. Nguyen continued to grow alongside her allies. Joel, Kor, and Kale had become more than just colleagues. They were friends, bound by shared experiences and a commitment to a brighter future. Each interaction, each conversation, and each project strengthened their connection, fueling their resolve. One evening, as they gathered in the command center to discuss future initiatives, Joel turned to Dr. Nguyen, a thoughtful expression on their face. "Do you remember when we first met? You were so unsure, so hesitant to take the lead. Look at you now. You've transformed into a true leader." Dr. Nguyen smiled, feeling warmth bloom within her. "I couldn't have done it without you all. Your support and belief in our vision have been invaluable." Kor nodded, their blue scales shimmering in the low light. "You have shown us that leadership is not just about authority. It's about connection, understanding, and the willingness to listen. You have inspired us to embrace those values." Kale added, "We've all grown together. Each of us has faced our fears, challenged our assumptions, and opened our hearts to new possibilities." Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of gratitude for the journey they had undertaken together. "This experience has taught me that growth doesn't happen in isolation. It's a collective process, one that thrives on shared experiences and vulnerability." As they discussed future projects, Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of purpose and determination solidify within her. They had built a foundation of trust, and she was committed to nurturing it. The road ahead would be challenging, but she believed in the power of their alliance. In the months that followed, they launched additional initiatives aimed at sustainable agriculture and energy production. Each project reinforced their commitment to collaboration, proving that they could achieve far more together than apart. Through it all, Dr. Nguyen continued to reflect on her growth. An empowered leader, capable of inspiring others and driving meaningful change, she had learned to embrace vulnerability, recognizing that her strength lay not in having all the answers, but in fostering an environment where ideas could flourish. As the team worked on their initiatives, they faced challenges that tested their resolve. There were setbacks in the purification project due to technical malfunctions, and initial trials of sustainable farming practices didn't yield the expected results. Each obstacle prompted difficult conversations and required them to confront their fears and assumptions. During one particularly frustrating meeting, Kor slammed a fist on the table, their blue scales brimming with agitation. "We cannot afford these mistakes. Our people are counting on us, and if we continue to fail, they will turn against us." Dr. Nguyen felt a familiar wave of anxiety wash over her. This project meant everything not just for her team, but for the future of both their peoples. But she had learned that responding with frustration wouldn't help. "I understand your concern, Kor," she said, her voice steady. "But failure is a part of progress. Each mistake gives us valuable data and insight that can lead us to a better solution." Zhao leaned in, their expression earnest. "We must view these challenges as opportunities to learn. We are all in this together, and if we approach these setbacks with collaboration, we can find solutions." Kor's posture softened slightly, and Dr. Nguyen saw the flicker of understanding in their eyes. "Perhaps you're right," they admitted, their voice quieter. "But it's hard to see the potential when the stakes are so high." "That's why we need to support each other," Dr. Nguyen responded. "Let's break this down into smaller tasks. We can assign specific roles based on our strengths and collaborate closely to overcome these hurdles." Kale nodded, stepping in to diffuse the tension. "I can take the lead on troubleshooting the technical issues with the purification system. We'll work together on the agricultural trials, too. Let's divide and conquer, but always with communication as our priority." As the meeting concluded, Dr. Nguyen felt a renewed sense of hope. They had navigated a challenging moment, emerging stronger and more united. Core's acknowledgement of the difficulties they faced was a turning point. It demonstrated that even amidst frustration, they were committed to the vision of collaboration. In the weeks that followed, their newfound resolve translated into action. They restructured their approach to the projects, focusing on open communication and team-oriented solutions. Each small success began to build momentum. The purification system was repaired and improved, and the agricultural trials showed promising results. Dr. Nguyen felt her confidence grow with each breakthrough. She was no longer the unsure scientist she once was. She had learned the value of resilience and the importance of fostering a culture of support. Her relationships with Core, Zhao, and Kale deepened, transforming into a tightly knit team united by their shared goals. During one late-night brainstorming session, Dr. Nguyen found herself reflecting on her journey. "It's incredible how far we've come," she said, glancing around at her friends. "I remember feeling overwhelmed and out of my depth. But now, I feel empowered to tackle any challenge." Joel smiled, their expression warm. "Your growth has inspired us all, Dr. Nguyen. You've shown us that vulnerability can lead to strength. We've all learned to lean on each other." Core nodded in agreement, their demeanor more relaxed than before. "I've learned to see the value in teamwork. My people have always valued individual strength, but you've shown me that collective strength is far more powerful." Kale added, "We are a true team now, one that can face whatever comes our way, and that's thanks to the trust we've built together." As they prepared for a presentation to share their progress with both Earth and Threx leaders, Dr. Nguyen felt a mixture of excitement and nerves. This was a critical moment to showcase their achievements and solidify the alliance they had worked so hard to establish. On the day of the presentation, the atmosphere was electric. Representatives from both sides filled the hall, their faces a blend of curiosity and skepticism. Dr. Nguyen stood at the front, flanked by Core and Joel. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "Thank you all for joining us today," she began, her voice steady. "We stand before you not just as representatives of Earth and Threx, but as partners committed to building a better future together. The challenges we've faced have tested our resolve, but they've also shown us the incredible strength of collaboration." As she spoke, she felt the energy in the room shift. She shared their progress on the purification project and the successes they had achieved in sustainable agriculture. Core stepped in to highlight the technological advancements made, emphasizing the potential benefits for both worlds. Zhao presented data on their shared goals, demonstrating the tangible outcomes of their collaboration. The audience listened intently, their skepticism slowly transforming into interest. At the conclusion of the presentation, Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of hope. They had effectively communicated the value of their partnership, showcasing their achievements as a united front. The applause that followed was a testament to the impact of their hard work. In the days that followed, as they celebrated their success, Dr. Nguyen took a moment to reflect on how much she had changed. The challenges they had faced had pushed her to grow in ways she never expected. She had learned the importance of resilience, the power of vulnerability, and the value of community. One evening, as they gathered to celebrate their progress, Joel raised a glass, their expression filled with gratitude. "To our partnership, may we continue to grow and learn together." Core added, "And to the future we are building, one step at a time." As Dr. Nguyen clinked her glass against theirs, she felt a sense of belonging wash over her. They had become a family, a team bound by shared dreams and aspirations. Each of them had grown, not only in their professional roles, but as individuals capable of embracing change and uncertainty. Over the next few months, their initiatives expanded, and they began to tackle larger projects. They collaborated on environmental restoration efforts, leveraging their combined expertise to address the ecological challenges facing both worlds. Dr. Nguyen found herself at the forefront of these initiatives, leading with confidence and purpose. In one of the planning sessions, she turned to her team, her heart full. We've come so far, and there's so much more we can achieve together. Our work can set a precedent for future generations, showing them the power of collaboration." Core nodded, their demeanor more open than ever. "We have the chance to rewrite our stories, to show our people that unity can lead to a brighter future." Joel added, "And that we are not defined by our past conflicts, but by the bonds we forge today." Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of pride swell within her. They were not just working together, they were redefining their identities, moving beyond the limitations of their histories. Each project, each collaboration, was a step toward healing and growth. As the seasons changed, the landscape of their partnership transformed. They became a symbol of hope, inspiring others to join their cause. More representatives from both worlds expressed interest in collaborating, drawn by the tangible successes of the purification and agricultural projects. During one meeting, a Threx representative, intrigued by their work, proposed a joint expedition to explore new resource-sharing opportunities. Dr. Nguyen felt excitement bubble within her. "This is exactly what we need. Expanding our collaboration can bring even greater benefits for both our peoples." As they planned the expedition, Dr. Nguyen found herself stepping into a leadership role with confidence. She had learned to trust her instincts, to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. The support of her friends Core, Joel, and Kale had nurtured her development, reinforcing her belief in the power of unity. In the weeks leading up to the expedition, she reflected on how much she had changed. From the anxious scientist who had once felt lost in the vastness of the universe, she had evolved into a leader capable of navigating complex dynamics and fostering collaboration. The day of the expedition arrived, and the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. They set out to explore new territories, eager to uncover resources that could benefit both Earth and Threx. As they traveled together, they faced challenges: harsh weather, difficult terrain, but each obstacle only strengthened their resolve. During one particularly challenging leg of the journey, they found themselves trapped by a sudden storm. The wind howled, and visibility dropped to near zero. Dr. Nguyen felt panic rise within her, but she quickly took a deep breath and focused on her team. "Stay close, everyone. We need to work together to find shelter," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. Core, Joel, and Kale rallied around her, their instincts kicking in as they navigated the treacherous conditions. They found a rocky outcrop to shelter from the storm, huddling together as they waited for the winds to subside. In that moment of uncertainty, Dr. Nguyen felt a profound sense of gratitude for her companions. They had become a lifeline, each of them relying on one another's strengths. It was a reminder that growth was not a solitary journey. It was a shared experience, marked by moments of vulnerability and connection. When the storm finally passed, they emerged from their shelter, the landscape transformed by the tempest. It was a stark reminder of the power of nature, but it also reinforced their commitment to working together. They had faced adversity and emerged stronger, more united than ever. As they continued their expedition, Dr. Nguyen felt a renewed sense of purpose. This journey was not just about discovering resources, it was about reinforcing the bonds they had forged and demonstrating the power of collaboration in action. Their expedition, the atmosphere was charged with excitement. The resources they had discovered, combined with the knowledge and skills of both Earth and Threx, promised to lead to even more significant advancements. But it was the personal growth of each team member that truly shone through in the aftermath. Dr. Nguyen found herself reflecting on how the expedition had changed her. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and the unexpected, but through it all, she had relied on her team. They had navigated the storm together, and the experience deepened her understanding of leadership and collaboration. As they convened to debrief the expedition, she took a moment to look around the room. Core was reviewing the data they had collected, their focus intense yet open. Joel was eagerly discussing ideas for integrating the new resources into their existing projects, their enthusiasm infectious. Kale was crafting a presentation for the upcoming summit to share their findings with their respective leaders. "Okay, team," Dr. Nguyen began, her voice steady. "First off, I want to acknowledge how incredible each of you was out there. The way we came together during the storm was nothing short of amazing." Core nodded, a hint of humility in their eyes. It reminded me that strength is not just in individual prowess, but in our ability to unite. I used to think of my people as lone warriors, but this experience has shown me the value of collaboration. Zhao leaned forward, their expression thoughtful. "I've realized that my past approach was too focused on the individual. I always felt I needed to be the best. But being part of a team has shown me the importance of supporting one another. It's about lifting each other up." Kale, always the observant one, added, "I think we all learned that our strengths are magnified when we work together. The expedition tested us, but we emerged with a greater sense of purpose and unity. Our differences became our advantages." Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of pride. "That's exactly it. Each of us brings unique skills and perspectives to the table. This diversity is our greatest asset." She paused, feeling the weight of their shared experiences. "I've grown too. I've learned that leadership is about listening and facilitating rather than dictating. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels valued." As they continued their discussion, Dr. Nguyen noticed how the dynamics among them had shifted. They were no longer just colleagues, they were a cohesive unit. The bond they shared had deepened through their trials, fostering a sense of trust and camaraderie that was palpable. The weeks that followed were filled with action. They began implementing the plans developed during their expedition, integrating new resources into their projects. Each success reinforced their shared vision, but it also presented opportunities for further growth. One day, while working on a new agricultural initiative, they encountered unforeseen difficulties. A key component of their strategy was failing to yield the expected results, and frustration began to bubble beneath the surface. Dr. Nguyen sensed the tension in the room during a meeting where they discussed the setbacks. Core, who had been quieter than usual, finally spoke up, frustration lacing their words. "We can't keep facing failures like this. Our people are watching, and if we don't deliver, they will lose faith in us." Dr. Nguyen felt a wave of anxiety, but reminded herself of their commitment to open communication. "I understand your concern, Core, but I want us to approach this not as a failure, but as an opportunity to learn. What can we identify as the root cause? How can we pivot and adapt our strategy?" Zhao, sensing the tension, interjected. "It's important that we share our thoughts openly. If we don't address the issues, we won't be able to find a solution." Kale nodded in agreement, adding on to, "Perhaps we should break down our data and analyze it from different perspectives. Each of us sees things differently. That diversity can help us find a path forward." Dr. Nguyen felt relief wash over her. The discussions had transformed from accusations to problem-solving. "Let's take a step back, then. We can assign roles based on our strengths and work collaboratively to analyze the data. Together, we can find a solution." As they delved into the analysis, Dr. Nguyen felt a shift in the atmosphere. The team began to engage more openly, brainstorming ideas and sharing insights. Core's initial frustration gave way to a sense of determination as they collaborated. Over the next few days, their efforts began to bear fruit. They discovered a flaw in their initial approach, a miscalculation in the agricultural methodology that had caused the setbacks. By addressing the issue as a united front, they were able to develop a new strategy that showed promise. In the debriefing that followed, Dr. Nguyen felt a deep sense of pride. "We did this together. Each of us played a vital role in identifying the issues and working toward solutions. This is what true collaboration looks like." Core smiled, their demeanor lighter. "I've learned that setbacks do not define us. It's how we respond to them that truly matters. I see now that our strength lies in our ability to face challenges together." Zhao added, "And we should celebrate our growth. We've created an environment where we can be honest about our struggles. That's a victory in itself." Kale chimed in. "It's a reminder that we're not just working for our peoples, but for each other. We've become a team that can weather any storm, literal or metaphorical." As they celebrated their progress, Dr. Nguyen reflected on the transformation she had witnessed not just in herself, but in each of her friends. They had all grown, learning to embrace vulnerability, lean on each other, and navigate challenges with grace and resilience. The upcoming summit loomed ahead, and Dr. Nguyen felt both excitement and apprehension. They had the opportunity to present their work to the leaders of both Earth and Threx, a chance to solidify their collaboration further. She wanted to ensure that their progress was shared authentically, showcasing not just the successes, but the lessons learned along the way. In the weeks leading up to the summit, they prepared diligently, crafting their presentation to highlight their journey. Dr. Nguyen found herself in the role of facilitator, guiding discussions and ensuring that each team member's voice was heard. As they practiced their presentation, Zhao looked to her, their expression serious. "Are you ready for this, Dr. Nguyen? It's a big moment." She nodded, though a flutter of nerves stirred within her. "I think so. But more than anything, I want to convey the importance of our collaboration and the growth we've experienced. This is not just about the data, it's about the relationships we've built." Core placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've come so far, and you have the strength to lead this presentation. Trust in yourself as we trust in you." As the day of the summit arrived, Dr. Nguyen felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The grand hall was filled with dignitaries and leaders, each representing their respective worlds. She took a deep breath, centering herself before stepping onto the stage. "Esteemed leaders, thank you for allowing us this opportunity to share our journey," she began, her voice steady. "Today, we stand before you not just as representatives of Earth and Threx, but as partners committed to building a better future together." She shared the story of their collaboration, detailing the challenges they faced and the lessons learned. As she spoke, she highlighted the importance of open communication, vulnerability, and trust. The audience listened intently, captivated by the authenticity of their journey. Core spoke passionately about the technological advancements they had made, emphasizing the potential benefits for both worlds. Zhou followed, showcasing the sustainable practices they had implemented, underscoring the impact of their work on environmental restoration. Kale wrapped up the presentation, presenting their future vision. "Together, we can continue to innovate and create solutions that benefit not just our peoples, but the planet as a whole. This is the power of collaboration, of embracing our differences and working toward a common goal." As the presentation concluded, the room erupted in applause. Dr. Nguyen felt a rush of relief and pride. They had effectively conveyed their message, demonstrating the strength of their partnership and the transformative power of collaboration. In the days that followed, they received positive feedback from both leaders and representatives. Their work was recognized, and discussions for future initiatives began. But what resonated most with Dr. Nguyen was the profound sense of connection that had grown among them. During a celebratory dinner that followed the summit, she looked around the table at her friends Core, Joel, and Kale, each of them beaming with pride. "We did this together," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "I couldn't have asked for better allies." Joel raised a glass, their expression sincere. "To our partnership, and to the incredible growth we've all experienced. May we continue to embrace challenges and support one another." Core nodded in agreement. "And to the future we are building together. I never imagined I would find such a strong sense of community outside my own people." As they toasted, Dr. Nguyen felt a warmth swell within her. This journey had changed them all. They had grown not just as professionals, but as individuals, learning to navigate the complexities of collaboration and the importance of trust. In the months that followed, they continued to implement their initiatives, tackling new challenges and expanding their efforts. Each success deepened their bond, transforming their partnership into a model of collaboration for others to follow. Dr. Nguyen often reflected on her personal journey, recognizing the profound impact her experiences had on her. She had embraced her vulnerability, discovered her leadership potential, and fostered connections that transcended boundaries. Their diverse team, each member had evolved in their own right, shaping a narrative of resilience and unity that defined their collective journey. As the months turned into years, Dr. Nguyen found herself more attuned to the nuances of leadership. She had transformed from a hesitant scientist into a dynamic leader who fostered a culture of inclusivity and collaboration. She reveled in the energy that her team brought to their projects, a vibrant tapestry of ideas woven together through their shared experiences. One evening, as they gathered for their weekly strategy session, Dr. Nguyen noticed a palpable excitement in the air. Core was animatedly discussing a new technological breakthrough they had developed, one that could revolutionize their purification system. Zhao had brought in data from their latest agricultural trials that demonstrated remarkable results, showcasing their innovative practices. Kale, ever the strategist, was sketching out plans for an outreach initiative aimed at spreading their successes to other communities. Core, tell us more about this breakthrough, Dr. Nguyen encouraged, leaning forward in her seat. What have you discovered? Core's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. We've developed a new filtration technology that integrates our traditional methods with advanced earth techniques. It's efficient and can be adapted for various environments. I believe it could significantly reduce our reliance on existing resources and improve water quality in both our communities. Dr. Nguyen felt a rush of pride. That's incredible. This is a perfect example of how our collaboration has led to real innovation. How can we implement this in our upcoming projects? As Core outlined their plans, Dr. Nguyen marveled at how their roles had shifted. Core, once reserved and skeptical, had blossomed into a confident innovator, willing to share their ideas and take risks. Zhao's analytical prowess had deepened, and they often challenged the team to think beyond conventional methods. Kale had become a master of strategy, seamlessly integrating the ideas of others into cohesive plans. After Core's presentation, Zhao spoke up. I think we should also consider the long-term impact of our work. We've made strides, but sustainability is key. Our agricultural practices must not only yield results now but also support future generations. Dr. Nguyen nodded, appreciating Zhao's perspective. You're right. Our initiatives should reflect not just our immediate goals, but also our responsibility to the environment and our communities. How can we incorporate this into our upcoming outreach program? Kale chimed in. What if we host workshops that not only showcase our successes, but also educate others about sustainable practices? We can involve community members in our projects, empowering them to implement similar strategies in their own areas. The room buzzed with excitement as they brainstormed ideas for the outreach program. Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of inspiration, recognizing how far they had come. This wasn't just a team, it was a movement. Each member brought their unique strengths, and together they were crafting solutions that extended beyond their immediate needs. As they wrapped up the meeting, Dr. Nguyen took a moment to reflect on her own growth. The challenges they had faced together had forced her to confront her fears and insecurities. She had learned that leadership was about more than just making decisions. It was about nurturing the potential in others, creating a space where everyone felt empowered to contribute. Later that week, Dr. Nguyen attended a conference where she was invited to speak about their collaborative efforts. Standing in front of a room filled with scientists, policymakers, and community leaders, she felt a mix of excitement and nerves. This was a chance to share not only their successes, but also the lessons they had learned along the way. As she began her presentation, she looked out at the audience. Today, I want to share the story of how collaboration has transformed our approach to environmental challenges. When we began our journey, we were two very different cultures with a shared goal, creating a sustainable future. But what we discovered was that our greatest asset was not just our individual strengths, but our ability to work together. She shared anecdotes from their initial struggles, their moments of doubt, and the breakthroughs that came through open communication. The audience was captivated, and she could see the interest in their eyes as she recounted the pivotal moments that had defined their partnership. Together, we've created innovative solutions that not only address immediate needs, but also lay the groundwork for future generations, she concluded, her heart swelling with pride. Our journey is a testament to the power of unity and resilience. We've learned that vulnerability is not a weakness. It's a strength that fosters growth and connection. After the presentation, several attendees approached her, eager to learn more about their initiatives. Dr. Nguyen felt a renewed sense of purpose, inspired by the interest her story had sparked. She realized that their journey could serve as a blueprint for others seeking to foster collaboration and innovation. In the following months, their outreach program took shape, and workshops were organized in various communities. Dr. Nguyen, Cor, Joel, and Kale traveled together, sharing their experiences and empowering others to adopt sustainable practices. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with community members eager to participate and learn. During one workshop in a small Threx village, Dr. Nguyen watched as Cor demonstrated the new purification technology. The villagers were engaged, asking questions and sharing their own challenges. As Cor explained the process, Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. This was the essence of their work, empowering others to take charge of their futures. Later that evening, as they gathered with the villagers around a fire, Dr. Nguyen reflected on the day. Cor, who had once been skeptical of sharing their knowledge, now thrived in this environment. Joel shared insights about adapting their agricultural practices to the unique conditions of the village, and Kale facilitated discussions that encouraged collaboration among community members. As the fire crackled, Dr. Nguyen spoke up, her voice filled with warmth. "I just want to take a moment to acknowledge how far we've all come. Each of you has grown tremendously. Cor, you've embraced the role of an innovator. Joel, your analytical skills have led to meaningful change. And Kale, your ability to strategize has brought our ideas to life." Cor smiled, a glimmer of pride in their eyes. "I've learned that sharing knowledge doesn't diminish my value, it amplifies it. By working together, we create a greater impact." Joel nodded in agreement. "And I've realized that true progress comes from listening to others and adapting our approaches. It's about finding solutions that resonate with the community." Kale added, "We've become a family, one that supports and uplifts each other. This journey has taught me the power of collaboration beyond just our work. It's about connection." As they sat around the fire, Dr. Nguyen felt a profound sense of gratitude. They were no longer just colleagues. They were a unit forged through shared experiences, laughter, and challenges. The bonds they had built were a testament to the transformative power of collaboration. In the months that followed, their outreach efforts flourished. Communities began to adopt their sustainable practices, and the impact was evident. Water quality improved, crops thrived, and a sense of empowerment spread among the people they had engaged. Dr. Nguyen felt a deep satisfaction as she watched these transformations unfold. However, challenges still arose. Some communities struggled to implement new practices, facing resistance from traditional norms. During one particularly challenging workshop, a villager voiced their concerns, expressing skepticism about the changes being proposed. Dr. Nguyen took a deep breath, recalling her own journey of uncertainty. "I understand your concerns," she said, her voice calm. "Change can be difficult, especially when it feels like it challenges our traditions. But our goal is not to erase your culture, it's to enhance it. Together, we can adapt these practices to fit your needs while still honoring your traditions." Cor stepped in, sharing their own experience of balancing tradition with innovation. "I once believed that my people's ways were the only path forward. But I've learned that the best solutions often come from blending the old with the new. Let's work together to find a way that respects your customs while incorporating new ideas." Joel added, "Every community is unique, and what works in one place might not be effective in another. We're here to listen and learn from you, to ensure that our practices align with your values." As the discussions continued, Dr. Nguyen felt the atmosphere shift. The villagers began to engage more openly, sharing their thoughts and concerns. By the end of the workshop, they had co-created a plan that honored both tradition and innovation, and the sense of collaboration blossomed. That evening, as they left the village, Dr. Nguyen felt a renewed sense of purpose. Each challenge they faced brought them closer to understanding the complexities of the communities they served. They were not just imparting knowledge, They were learning and evolving alongside the people they sought to help. One day, after a particularly successful workshop, Dr. Nguyen gathered her team. "I want to acknowledge the growth we've all experienced, not just in our work, but in our understanding of collaboration. Each community we engage with teaches us something new." Core nodded, their expression serious. "I've realized that we have a responsibility not just to share our innovations, but to listen deeply to the needs and values of others. It's about co-creating solutions, not imposing them." Joel added, "And this journey has shown me that progress is not linear. It's filled with ups and downs, but each moment contributes to our understanding and growth." Cale, always the strategist, chimed in. "It's essential that we continue to adapt and be flexible in our approach. Our success relies on our ability to meet each community where they are." As they reflected on their journey, Dr. Nguyen felt a profound sense of connection among them. They had become a family. Deep commitment to their mission. Each member of the team had undergone significant personal growth, transforming not just in their roles, but in their perspectives on collaboration, leadership, and community. In the following months, their outreach initiatives expanded further. They traveled from village to village, sharing their successes and learning from each community they visited. Each encounter presented new challenges, but with each challenge came opportunities for growth. One crisp morning, they arrived at a community known for its traditional farming practices. As they set up for the workshop, Dr. Nguyen sensed an air of skepticism among the villagers. Many were hesitant to embrace change, their cultural identity closely tied to the farming techniques passed down through generations. During the workshop, Dr. Nguyen opened the floor for discussion, inviting villagers to share their concerns. "We're here to listen," she said, her tone warm and inviting. "What matters most to us is understanding how we can work together to meet your needs." An elder named Rohan stood up, his voice steady yet cautious. "We have survived for generations with our methods. Why should we trust new practices that may not work for us?" Dr. Nguyen met his gaze, feeling the weight of his words. "I completely understand. Change can be daunting, especially when it feels like it threatens your way of life. We're not here to impose. We want to explore options that enhance your current practices." Core stepped forward, sharing their own journey from skepticism to innovation. "I once believed that our traditions were the only way forward, but I've learned that blending the old with the new can create something powerful. Let's find a way to honor your methods while also exploring new possibilities." The conversation continued, and as the villagers shared their stories, Dr. Nguyen watched Core and Joel engage with them. Core, who had once hesitated to voice their opinions, now spoke confidently about their technological advances. Joel was keenly attentive, taking notes and asking questions that encouraged deeper dialogue. Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of pride as she observed her team. They had all transformed, evolving from individuals into a cohesive unit capable of tackling complex issues together. Their growth wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. After the workshop, Dr. Nguyen reflected on her journey. She had grown more adept at navigating difficult conversations, learning to empathize and connect with people from diverse backgrounds. She recalled moments of uncertainty during their early days, times when she doubted her ability to lead. But now, she felt a sense of confidence rooted in her commitment to the team and the communities they served. The following week, during a team meeting, they discussed their next steps. Cale proposed they focus on building deeper connections with the communities they had visited. "We've shared knowledge, but let's take it a step further," they suggested. "What if we create mentorship programs where community members can work alongside us on specific projects?" Core nodded enthusiastically. "That's a fantastic idea. It would empower them to take ownership of their initiatives while also giving us insight into their challenges." Joel chimed in, "And it would strengthen our relationships. Building trust takes time, and mentorship could be a powerful way to foster that." Dr. Nguyen felt invigorated by their ideas. "Let's draft a plan for these mentorship programs. We can structure them to ensure they align with each community's needs and goals." As they worked on the plan, Dr. Nguyen saw how each member of her team had embraced their growth. Kaur, who once feared being overshadowed, was now a confident contributor, sharing ideas and taking initiative. Zhao had grown into a thoughtful leader, eager to consider the broader implications of their work. Kale had honed their strategic thinking, seamlessly integrating diverse viewpoints into cohesive plans. The mentorship programs launched with great enthusiasm, and the team began pairing community members with their own experts. Dr. Nguyen was struck by the genuine connections that formed. They weren't just sharing knowledge, they were building relationships that transcended cultural boundaries. One afternoon, as Dr. Nguyen visited a project site, she noticed a group of villagers working alongside Joel. They were testing a new agricultural technique, blending traditional methods with insights gained from their workshops. Joel was explaining the process, their voice filled with excitement. "Look at how they're integrating our ideas," Dr. Nguyen thought, feeling a rush of pride. Joel had grown comfortable not only sharing knowledge, but also facilitating collaboration. It was a testament to how far they had come. Later that day, the villagers gathered for a community meeting. Dr. Nguyen and her team were invited to share updates on their progress. As Dr. Nguyen stood before the crowd, she felt a sense of belonging. The energy in the room was vibrant, filled with anticipation and hope. "Thank you all for welcoming us into your community," she began, her voice steady. "Today, we're excited to share the results of our collaboration and hear your thoughts on our next steps." After presenting their findings, she invited feedback. Rohan stood up again, his expression thoughtful. "Your work has brought us new ideas, and we appreciate that. But we must ensure that our community remains at the center of this effort." Dr. Nguyen nodded, feeling a deep sense of respect for Rohan's perspective. "Absolutely. Your input is vital. Our goal is to co-create solutions that honor your traditions and enhance your practices. We are partners in this journey." The dialogue that followed was enriching. Villagers shared their thoughts on how to refine their approach, incorporating local knowledge and customs. Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of gratitude wash over her as she witnessed this collaboration unfold. The community was taking ownership of the process, and it filled her with hope. As the months progressed, the mentorship programs flourished. Community members became empowered advocates for their own practices, working side by side with Dr. Nguyen's team. Each workshop and project strengthened their bonds, creating a sense of community that resonated deeply. One evening, as they wrapped up a particularly successful day, Dr. Nguyen gathered her team for a reflection. "I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible growth we've all experienced. Our collaboration has deepened, and I'm proud of how we've supported one another." Kaur spoke up, their voice filled with emotion. "I've learned that our strength lies not just in our knowledge, but in our ability to listen. Every community has its unique strengths, and by honoring those, we create something truly special." Joel added, "I feel like I've found my voice in this journey. Understanding the importance of local knowledge has transformed my perspective on leadership. It's about empowering others." Kale, always the strategist, nodded in agreement. "We've shifted from being teachers to being collaborators. This has deepened our impact, and it's exciting to see the changes unfold." Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of pride as she listened to her team. Their growth was evident, and it was inspiring to witness their transformations. Each member had embraced vulnerability, learning to lean on one another and collaborate authentically. As they moved forward, their initiatives continued to expand. They established partnerships with neighboring communities, creating a network of collaboration that spread beyond their initial scope. Dr. Nguyen felt invigorated by the momentum they had built. One day, while visiting a newly partnered community, Dr. Nguyen observed Kaur working with a group of local farmers. They were demonstrating the purification technology and explaining its benefits. Kaur had fully embraced their role as an innovator, eager to share knowledge and empower others. Later, as they gathered for a community meeting, Dr. Nguyen was struck by the sense of unity in the room. Villagers were actively engaged, sharing their own ideas and feedback. This wasn't just about implementing change. It was about cultivating a culture of collaboration. Dr. Nguyen stood before the crowd, feeling a sense of gratitude. Thank you all for being here today. Our journey has been enriched by your insights and participation. Together, we are building a sustainable future, one that reflects the values of your community. As the meeting progressed, Rohan spoke again, this time with a tone of pride. We've seen how your collaboration has positively impacted our practices, but let us not forget our responsibility to the land. It is our heritage. Dr. Nguyen nodded, appreciating the wisdom in his words. Absolutely. Sustainability is not just a goal. It's a commitment to honoring the land and its people. Let's continue to work together to ensure our practices are in harmony with your traditions. The conversation flowed, filled with ideas and aspirations. Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of purpose surge within her. This was the essence of their work, co-creating a future that honored both innovation and tradition. As their initiatives gained momentum, the impact rippled through the communities they served. Water quality improved, crops thrived, and villagers began to take pride in their newfound knowledge. They were no longer passive recipients of information. They were active participants in their own futures. Reflecting on their journey, Dr. Nguyen felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had grown alongside her team and the communities they engaged with. Together, they had built a model of collaboration that transcended cultural boundaries, demonstrating the power of unity and resilience. One evening, as they gathered to celebrate their successes, Dr. Nguyen looked around the room at her friends Kaur, Zhao, and Kale. They had become more than colleagues. They were a family, bound by their shared commitment to a brighter future. To our journey, Dr. Nguyen raised her glass, her voice steady. May we continue to embrace challenges, learn from one another, and create a world that reflects the strength of our collaboration. The room erupted in cheers, the warmth of their bond palpable. As they celebrated, Dr. Nguyen felt a profound sense of gratitude for the growth they had experienced together. In the vibrant, evolving landscape of their shared mission, the team continued to deepen their connections with the communities they served. Each day brought new challenges, but also opportunities for personal growth that reshaped their identities and perspectives. As the seasons changed, so too did their outreach programs. Dr. Nguyen noticed that the team had begun to take more initiative in leading workshops and discussions. Kaur, once hesitant to speak in front of groups, had found their voice. They took the lead in demonstrating the new purification technology, explaining its mechanics and benefits with a passion that captivated their audience. One afternoon, as they gathered to prepare for a workshop, Dr. Nguyen observed Kaur practicing their presentation. "You've really come a long way, Kaur," she said, her tone encouraging. "Your confidence is inspiring." Kaur looked up, a mix of pride and humility on their face. "Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. I never thought I could stand in front of people and explain something I created. It feels good to share knowledge and see others engage with it." Dr. Nguyen smiled, recognizing the transformation in Kaur. This was more than just a professional achievement. It was a personal victory. Kaur had shed their insecurities and stepped into a role that showcased their strengths. As Kaur prepared for the workshop, Joel shared their own journey. "I used to think my role was limited to analyzing data and supporting others, but through this work, I've realized the importance of sharing insights directly with the community. It's helped me understand the impact of our work on a deeper level." Dr. Nguyen nodded, appreciating Joel's growth. "You've developed into a thoughtful leader, Joel. Your ability to connect data to real-world applications has made our initiatives more impactful." Joel smiled, their confidence blooming in the recognition. "It's empowering to know that my contributions matter. I've learned that we all have a role to play in this journey." Kale, ever the strategist, chimed in. "I think we're all learning that our individual strengths can amplify each other. I've become more attuned to listening, adapting my strategies based on what resonates with our partners." Dr. Nguyen felt a wave of pride wash over her. The journey they had embarked on together was not just about their projects. It was about their evolution as individuals and as a team. Each member had embraced vulnerability and openness, recognizing that their growth was intertwined with the growth of those around them. That evening, after a successful workshop where Core had brilliantly engaged the audience, the team gathered around a fire. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the laughter and camaraderie that had blossomed over time. Dr. Nguyen felt the warmth of their connection, the way they had become a family forged through shared experiences. As they reflected on the day, Core spoke up, still buzzing with excitement. Today was amazing. Seeing the community members actively participate and ask questions was a thrill. I never imagined I could inspire others. Joel added, "Your passion was contagious, Core. I think we all learned something from that interaction. It reinforced the idea that our work is not just about technology, it's about building relationships." Kale leaned back, a thoughtful expression on their face. This is what collaboration looks like. We're not just teaching, we're learning from each other. Each community offers us a chance to grow in ways we didn't expect. Dr. Nguyen nodded, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. This journey has taught us the value of humility and the power of community. We may be the experts in certain areas, but each community has its wisdom. It's a partnership, and we're all evolving together. As they continued their discussions, Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of clarity about her role. She had started as a scientist focused on research, but had transformed into a leader committed to fostering collaboration. This shift had not only changed her approach to work, but had also influenced her personal life. She had become more empathetic, more willing to listen, and more open to the stories of others. In the months that followed, the team's efforts gained momentum. Their mentorship programs flourished, and community members began to take ownership of their initiatives. This empowerment resonated deeply, fostering a sense of pride and agency among the people they worked with. One afternoon, during a follow-up visit to a community, Dr. Nguyen and her team were greeted with enthusiasm. Villagers had implemented new agricultural techniques, integrating the ideas they had discussed in previous workshops. As they toured the fields, Dr. Nguyen marveled at the transformation. The crops were healthier, and the farmers' faces were filled with pride. Joel was particularly excited, analyzing the results with keen interest. "This is incredible. The yield has increased significantly, and the farmers seem genuinely pleased with the changes. It's a testament to what we can achieve together." Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of joy at the sight. This is what collaboration looks like. They've taken the knowledge we shared and adapted it to fit their needs. It's a beautiful example of empowerment. As they interacted with the villagers, Dr. Nguyen noticed the confidence blooming in Joel. They were engaging directly with the farmers, asking questions and listening intently. This was a stark contrast to the more reserved Joel she had first met. Their growth was evident, and it warmed her heart to see them embracing their role as a leader. That evening, as they gathered for a community dinner, Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of belonging. The villagers welcomed them with open arms, sharing stories and laughter. It was moments like these that reinforced the importance of their work. It was about building connections and fostering understanding. During the meal, Rohan, the elder, spoke. "We appreciate your efforts in our community. The changes we've seen are encouraging, but we must also consider the challenges that lie ahead. Sustainability requires ongoing commitment." Dr. Nguyen nodded, acknowledging the wisdom in his words. "You're right, Rohan. Our work is just the beginning. We must continue to collaborate and adapt as new challenges arise. Your insights are vital to this process." As the night progressed, the conversation turned to future initiatives. Kale suggested exploring new partnerships with nearby communities, creating a network of support. "If we can unite our efforts, we can tackle larger issues together," they proposed. The idea resonated with everyone, and discussions flowed naturally. Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of excitement bubbling within her. This was the essence of their work, empowering communities to collaborate and thrive. As they returned to their base camp that night, Dr. Nguyen reflected on the journey they had undertaken. Each member of her team had grown immensely, both personally and professionally. They had transformed from individuals into a cohesive unit, united by a shared mission and a deep commitment to the communities they served. In the following months, the team's outreach expanded, reaching new villages and forming deeper connections. The mentorship programs had evolved into collaborative projects where community members took the lead, fostering a sense of pride and ownership in their initiatives. One afternoon, during a visit to a neighboring community, Dr. Nguyen watched as Joel facilitated a workshop. They were now fully confident in their role, guiding discussions and encouraging participation. Cor, too, had grown into a leader, taking charge of the technology demonstrations with enthusiasm. Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of pride as she observed them. This was the result of their collective journey, a transformation fueled by vulnerability, collaboration, and shared experiences. Each member had embraced their growth, stepping into roles that empowered not only themselves but also those around them. Later that day, as they gathered to debrief, Dr. Nguyen encouraged her team to reflect on their experiences. "What have you learned about yourselves through this journey?" she asked, curious to hear their thoughts. Cor spoke first, their voice steady. "I've learned that I'm capable of more than I ever believed. Standing in front of groups used to terrify me, but now I find joy in sharing knowledge. I've discovered the power of connection through collaboration." Joel followed, their eyes shining. "For me, it's been about understanding the importance of listening. I've realized that the best solutions often come from the voices of the community. It's taught me humility and the value of shared experiences." Cale added, "I've grown in my ability to strategize collaboratively. I used to rely solely on my own ideas, but now I see the beauty in blending perspectives. Each community we work with brings something unique, and it's enriching our work." Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of pride as she listened to her team. Their growth was evident, and it was inspiring to witness how their experiences had shaped them into empathetic leaders. As they continued to reflect, Dr. Nguyen shared her own journey. "I've learned that leadership is not about having all the answers. It's about fostering an environment where everyone feels valued and heard. Our collective growth is what truly matters." As the months turned into a year, the impact of their work began to ripple beyond the communities they served. The network they had created inspired neighboring areas to reach out, eager to learn from their successes. Dr. Nguyen and her team were invited to share their experiences at regional conferences, where they could advocate for collaborative approaches to sustainability. During one such conference, Dr. Nguyen stood before an audience filled with scientists, policymakers, and community leaders. As she shared the story of their journey, she felt a sense of purpose and urgency. "Our work is a testament to the power of collaboration. By empowering communities to take ownership of their futures, we can create sustainable solutions that honor both tradition and innovation." The audience was captivated, and Dr. Nguyen felt a rush of adrenaline as she spoke. This was more than just a presentation, it was a call to action. She encouraged others to embrace vulnerability, to listen, and to co-create solutions with the communities they served. Journey. Dr. Nguyen found herself reflecting on the profound transformations that had taken place not only within her team, but also within herself. Each member had evolved in ways she hadn't anticipated, growing into roles that they had once felt unqualified for. They had forged bonds that transcended professional obligations, cultivating a family-like atmosphere that empowered them to take risks and embrace challenges. In the months following their conference presentation, the team faced a series of unexpected challenges. An unseasonable drought affected several communities they were working with, threatening the agricultural advancements they had championed. The villagers were anxious, and the team felt a weight of responsibility to respond effectively. One evening, as they gathered to discuss their strategy, Dr. Nguyen sensed an undercurrent of tension. The team was worried about the drought's impact on the communities they had come to care deeply for. "We need to reassess our approach," she said, her voice steady. "This is a moment for us to come together, listen to the community, and adapt." Cale nodded, clearly concerned. "But how can we help when the resources are so limited? I fear we might not have the answers they need." Joel interjected. "Maybe we can organize a series of community forums to brainstorm solutions. We can invite local farmers to share their experiences and ideas. They know their land better than we do. Core leaned in, their eyes brightening. That's a great idea. We could facilitate discussions on drought-resistant crops or water conservation techniques. It's not about us solving the problem, it's about empowering them to find their solutions. Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of hope. Exactly. This is an opportunity for us to practice what we preach: collaboration and co-creation. Let's mobilize and organize these forums. It's crucial that we remain adaptable and responsive. In the weeks that followed, the team put their plan into action. They traveled to each affected community, hosting forums where villagers could share their experiences and brainstorm solutions together. The sessions were a mix of frustration and hope, but as discussions unfolded, the energy shifted from despair to determination. During one forum, a young farmer named Lena stood up, her voice trembling but resolute. "We've dealt with droughts before. It's hard, but we can adapt. We have traditional methods that work, like mulching and using drought-resistant seeds. We just need to share our knowledge with each other." Dr. Nguyen felt a wave of admiration for Lena's courage. "That's a fantastic point, Lena. Let's discuss how we can implement those methods together. Your insights are invaluable." As the discussions continued, Dr. Nguyen watched as Core took the lead in facilitating a breakout group. They had transformed from someone who once hesitated to speak in public to a confident leader, engaging the community with enthusiasm. Core encouraged participants to share their ideas, fostering an environment where everyone felt their contributions mattered. Joel, too, had stepped up significantly. They navigated complex discussions, synthesizing ideas and guiding the group toward actionable strategies. Dr. Nguyen could see how their analytical mind had grown into a tool for facilitation, bridging gaps between diverse perspectives. Kale, ever strategic, took notes on the community's feedback, ensuring that their insights would inform the team's next steps. "This is an opportunity for us to learn from the resilience of these communities," Kale noted. "We can document their traditional practices and create a resource guide that can be shared widely." As the forums progressed, the team felt a palpable shift in their dynamic. They were no longer just facilitators of knowledge. They were co-creators, learning alongside the communities. Each workshop brought its own revelations, as team members found themselves challenged to think critically and empathetically about the issues at hand. One night, as they wrapped up a particularly intense session, Dr. Nguyen gathered her team to debrief. "What did you all take away from today?" she asked, eager to hear their thoughts. Core spoke first, their voice filled with excitement. "I was amazed by the depth of knowledge in the room. These farmers have so much wisdom, and it's humbling to see how we can learn from them. I felt like I was part of something bigger than myself." Joel added, "I was struck by how interconnected our challenges are. Everyone has faced difficulties, but they're all finding ways to adapt. It's a reminder that resilience is a community effort." Kale nodded in agreement. "And it's reinforced my belief that we need to amplify their voices. Our role should be to help them share their stories and practices with a wider audience. They are the experts in their own right." Dr. Nguyen felt a swell of pride at their reflections. "You've all grown so much. This experience has shown us that vulnerability leads to strength. By allowing ourselves to be open to learning, we empower not only ourselves but also those we serve." As the weeks passed, the forums began to yield results. Villagers implemented water conservation techniques, shared knowledge about crop rotation, and adapted their practices based on traditional methods passed down through generations. The sense of community solidarity grew stronger as neighbors supported one another through this challenging time. One evening, as they gathered for a celebratory dinner with the community, Dr. Nguyen felt a profound sense of gratitude. The resilience displayed by the villagers had inspired her team in ways they hadn't anticipated. They had witnessed firsthand the strength of community, and it had transformed their approach to their work. Rohan, the elder, stood to address the group. "Tonight, we celebrate not just the progress we've made, but the unity we've built. Together, we have found solutions that honor our traditions and adapt to our challenges. We are stronger together." As he spoke, Dr. Nguyen watched her team exchange glances, smiles breaking across their faces. This was the moment they had all worked towards a culmination of their efforts to foster genuine collaboration and understanding. After the dinner, as the sun set, Kaur pulled Dr. Nguyen aside. "I've been thinking about my role in this team. I used to see myself as just the tech person, but now I feel like I'm a part of something much bigger. I want to keep learning and growing in this space." Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of warmth at Kaur's words. "You've already taken on so much more than you realize, Kaur. Your ability to connect with the community and share your passion has been transformative. Embrace that growth. It's a beautiful journey." Jal approached next, their expression thoughtful. "I've been reflecting on how much I've changed. I used to shy away from leadership, but now I see it differently. It's not about being in charge. It's about empowering others and facilitating their growth." Dr. Nguyen smiled, recognizing the weight of Joel's realization. "Absolutely. True leadership is about creating spaces where others can thrive. You've embodied that in every interaction." Kale joined them, a look of determination on their face. "I want to expand our outreach. There are so many communities that could benefit from what we've learned here. I want to ensure we continue to amplify these voices." Dr. Nguyen felt a rush of excitement at Kale's ambition. "That's a wonderful goal, Kale. The impact we've made here can serve as a model for others. Let's explore how we can share these insights on a larger scale." As they discussed their future initiatives, Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of purpose anchoring her. This was more than just a job, it was a calling. She had grown into a leader who prioritized collaboration, empathy, and shared growth. The team had evolved into a family, each member contributing their unique strengths to the collective vision. In the following months, the team launched new outreach programs, focusing on knowledge sharing and community empowerment. They organized regional gatherings where farmers and community leaders could come together, share their experiences, and learn from one another. One such gathering brought together representatives from several neighboring communities. As they shared their successes and challenges, Dr. Nguyen watched as her team engaged with participants, facilitating discussions that sparked innovation and collaboration. Kaur took the stage, their voice confident and clear. "Today, we're here to learn from each other. Each community has its unique strengths, and by sharing our knowledge, we can create solutions that honor our traditions and adapt to our challenges." The energy in the room was electric, filled with hope and determination. Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of pride swell within her as she witnessed Kaur's transformation into a leader. The audience responded enthusiastically, sharing their own stories and insights. Joel facilitated breakout sessions, guiding groups in discussions that bridged diverse perspectives. They had embraced their role as a connector, helping participants identify common challenges and brainstorm solutions together. After the gathering, Dr. Nguyen gathered her team to reflect on the day. "What did you all take away from this experience?" she asked, eager to hear their thoughts. Kaur spoke first, their eyes shining. "I felt a sense of belonging today. It was incredible to see everyone share their stories and realize we're all in this together. It reinforces why we do what we do." Jal added, "The collaboration was inspiring. It reminded me that we're all part of a larger ecosystem, and by supporting one another, we can navigate our challenges more effectively." Kale nodded, a look of determination on their face. "I want to continue to expand our reach. There are so many communities that could benefit from our approach. We need to ensure that we keep this momentum going." Dr. Nguyen felt a rush of gratitude at their reflections. "You've all grown immensely. This journey has taught us the importance of community and the power of collaboration. We are stronger together, and I'm excited to see where this leads us." As the seasons turned, the team continued to build on their successes, embracing new challenges and opportunities for growth. Each member had found their stride, but with every triumph came new lessons and deeper reflections on their roles within the team and the communities they served. Dr. Nguyen had transformed from a hesitant leader into a confident advocate for collaboration. She no longer saw herself as merely a scientist or project manager. She was a facilitator of change, a bridge between diverse voices. With each community engagement, she grew more attuned to the nuances of cultural dynamics and the importance of listening before speaking. The depth of understanding she gained was invaluable, shaping her approach to every new initiative. One afternoon, as the team prepared for another round of community workshops, Dr. Nguyen called a meeting. "I want to take a moment to reflect on how far we've come," she began, looking around at the faces of her team. "Let's discuss not just our achievements, but also our individual growth." Core spoke first, their voice full of enthusiasm. "I feel like I've become a completely different person. Just a year ago, I was terrified of public speaking, but now I love leading discussions. I've learned that sharing knowledge is about building connections, not just conveying information." Dr. Nguyen smiled, proud of Core's transformation. "You've embraced your role beautifully, Core. Your passion resonates with everyone, and it's inspiring to see you take charge." Zhao added, "For me, the biggest change has been in how I approach data. I used to think of it as numbers and statistics, but now I see it as a narrative. Each piece of data represents a story, a community, and I've learned to listen for those stories." Kale nodded, reflecting on their own journey. "I've realized that strategy is not just about planning, it's about adapting to the voices around us. We need to be responsive and flexible. I've learned to value the input from the communities as much as the data we collect." Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of warmth fill the room. This was more than a team. It was a collective of individuals committed to growth and understanding. "Your reflections remind me of how important it is to remain open to learning. We're all evolving, and that evolution is key to our success." As they prepared for the upcoming workshops, the team set out to explore new strategies that integrated community input into their programs. The goal was to ensure that the initiatives they designed were not only effective, but also resonated deeply with the values and traditions of each community. In one community, as they rolled out a new water conservation initiative, Core took the lead in facilitating discussions about traditional water management practices. They were eager to learn from the villagers, to hear their stories and insights. During the workshop, an elder named Meili shared her experiences. "We have long used simple techniques, like using clay pots to capture rainwater. We need to remember that our ancestors had solutions that worked with the land." Core listened intently, taking notes and encouraging others to share similar stories. "These methods are invaluable. How can we incorporate them into our new systems? Let's work together to combine old and new practices." As the discussions unfolded, Dr. Nguyen observed Core's transformation into a facilitator. They had moved beyond the technology and into a role that emphasized empathy and understanding. The villagers responded positively, sharing more of their knowledge, and the workshop became a collaborative space where everyone felt valued. Later, as they wrapped up the day, Dr. Nguyen approached Core. "You did an incredible job today. You found a way to connect with the community that I think is unique to you." Core smiled, a mixture of pride and gratitude. "Thank you. I've realized that my role is not just about presenting solutions, but listening and learning. That's where the real magic happens." Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of fulfillment. Core's growth was a testament to the power of vulnerability and collaboration. It reminded her of her own journey, how embracing uncertainty had opened doors to deeper connections and insights. In the following weeks, Zhao continued to evolve, stepping into more leadership roles within their analyses. They initiated discussions on how to visually represent the data collected from the communities, transforming complex information into compelling narratives that could guide future initiatives. During one meeting, Zhou presented a visual report that illustrated the correlation between traditional practices and increased crop yields. "This is a powerful story," they explained. "It shows how integrating our knowledge with theirs can lead to sustainable practices that benefit everyone." Dr. Nguyen felt a surge of pride as she listened to Zhou. You've created a tool that can empower communities to advocate for their needs. This approach not only informs but also inspires action." Joel beamed at the praise, feeling validated in their contributions. "It's exciting to see how our work can bring communities together. I've learned that data is not just for analysis, it's a means to tell stories that matter." As the team moved into a new phase of their work, Cale took the initiative to develop a network of support among the communities they had engaged with. "We need to create a platform where these communities can connect and share resources," they proposed during a strategy session. "A support system that fosters ongoing collaboration." Dr. Nguyen was impressed by Cale's vision. "That's a brilliant idea. It's about building a resilient network that empowers these communities to support each other long after we've moved on. Let's explore how we can facilitate this." The team dove into planning, and Cale led discussions with community leaders to gauge interest. The idea resonated widely, and soon they were organizing a regional gathering to launch this new initiative. The excitement was palpable as communities began to see the potential for ongoing support and collaboration. As the day of the gathering approached, the team felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. They knew this was a significant step, but it also came with the challenge of facilitating meaningful connections between diverse groups. On the day of the gathering, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Villagers from multiple communities arrived, eager to share their stories and connect with one another. Dr. Nguyen welcomed everyone, emphasizing the importance of collaboration and shared learning. Kaur took the stage to facilitate discussions, encouraging participants to share their experiences and challenges. The room was filled with animated conversations, ideas bouncing back and forth as people connected over common struggles and successes. Joel helped document the discussions, creating a visual map of connections and insights that emerged throughout the day. They felt a sense of purpose in capturing the stories that were unfolding, recognizing the power of narratives to inspire and inform. As the gathering progressed, Cale led a breakout session focused on future collaborations. "Let's brainstorm ways we can support each other moving forward," they encouraged. "What resources do we have, and how can we share them?" Dr. Nguyen watched as the participants engaged in lively discussions, their faces light with enthusiasm. This was the culmination of their work, a moment where community voices took center stage. After the gathering, the team sat down to debrief. "Today was incredible," Kaur exclaimed, their eyes sparkling. "I felt like we were witnessing the birth of something amazing. The connections formed today have the potential to change everything." Joel nodded, still energized by the day's events. The stories shared were powerful. It reinforced how important it is to listen and learn from one another. "We've created a space where everyone's voice matters." Cale added, "This network can be a game changer. By fostering these relationships, we're creating a foundation for ongoing collaboration. I'm excited to see how this evolves." Dr. Nguyen felt a deep sense of gratitude as she listened to her team's reflections. Their personal growth was evident, and she couldn't help but feel proud of the journey they had all undertaken together. "You've all grown tremendously. This work is not just about the projects, it's about the people. The connections we've built will resonate far beyond our time here." As the months continued to unfold, the network they had created flourished. Communities began to collaborate more closely, sharing resources, knowledge, and support. Dr. Nguyen's team continued to facilitate discussions and provide guidance, but they were now part of a larger tapestry woven by the communities themselves. Kaur, Joel, and Cale found themselves taking on increasingly complex roles within the network, each contributing their unique strengths to support the communities. Kaur became a liaison between the tech initiatives and the agricultural practices, ensuring that technology complemented traditional knowledge. Joel took on the responsibility of creating documentation that highlighted the successes and challenges of the network. They developed a series of reports that not only shared data, but also told the stories of the people behind the numbers, creating a narrative that resonated with a broader audience. Cale embraced the role of strategist, seeking out additional funding and partnerships that could enhance the network's sustainability. They worked tirelessly to ensure that the communities had the resources they needed to thrive independently. One evening, as they gathered around a fire to reflect on their journey, Dr. Nguyen felt a wave of nostalgia wash over her. "Can you believe how far we've come?" she asked, her voice filled with warmth. Kor smiled, looking around at their team. "It feels like just yesterday we were figuring out how to engage with communities. Now we're part of something so much bigger." Joel nodded in agreement. "We've learned so much. It's not just about what we bring, it's about what we can learn from each other." Kale added, "And this is just the beginning. The network we've built has the potential to expand even further. We've created a model that can inspire others." Dr. Nguyen felt a deep sense of fulfillment. "This journey has been transformative for all of us. We've grown as individuals and as a team, and our impact will resonate long after we're gone." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the gathering, Dr. Nguyen reflected on the evolution of her team. Each member had blossomed in ways she hadn't fully grasped until this moment. The challenges they had faced together had forged not only a professional bond, but a deep sense of trust and friendship. They had become a family, united by a shared mission and a commitment to uplift the communities they served. Kor, once a shy tech enthusiast, now exuded confidence. They had taken the lead in integrating technology with traditional practices, bridging the gap between innovation and heritage. Kor had a natural ability to connect with people, effortlessly explaining complex concepts in relatable terms. This transformation had not only benefited the communities, but had also instilled in Kor a sense of purpose they had long sought. "Can you remember when we first started?" Kor asked, laughter in their voice. "I could barely get through a presentation without stumbling over my words." Joel smiled, a twinkle of mischief in their eye. "I remember. You were so nervous that you kept accidentally closing your laptop instead of changing slides." The group chuckled, and Dr. Nguyen felt a wave of pride. Joel had grown tremendously as well, evolving from a quiet observer to a powerful advocate for the stories behind the data. They had taken it upon themselves to ensure that the voices of the communities were heard, advocating for the incorporation of qualitative insights into their research. "Now look at you, Joel," Dr. Nguyen said, her voice warm. "You've become a storyteller in your own right, weaving data into narratives that resonate with people. It's a vital skill." Joel nodded, a hint of modesty in their demeanor. "I realize that data is just numbers until we add context. Every figure represents a life, a struggle, a triumph. I want to make sure we honor those stories." Kale, always the strategist, leaned forward. "And that's what makes our work so impactful. We're not just reporting facts, we're advocating for real change. I've learned that our strategies need to be rooted in the needs of the communities. It's about listening first and acting second." Dr. Nguyen felt her heart swell. Kale had evolved from a data-driven analyst to a strategic thinker who understood the importance of community engagement. They had embraced a collaborative approach that prioritized building relationships over merely collecting information. "Your insights have helped us navigate the complexities of our initiative, Kale," she said, appreciating their growth. "You've shown us that adaptability is key." As the fire crackled, Kor turned serious. "I've also learned the importance of vulnerability. I used to think I needed to have all the answers, but now I see that it's okay to admit when I don't know something. It opens up space for others to share their knowledge." Dr. Nguyen smiled at Kor's reflection. "That's a powerful realization. Vulnerability fosters trust and encourages collaboration. It's one of the most valuable lessons we can take from this experience." The conversation continued, weaving in and out of personal stories and professional growth. Each member of the team shared their challenges, their triumphs, and their hopes for the future. It became clear that their individual journeys were deeply interconnected, each one influencing and inspiring the others. As they wrapped up their evening, Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. "I'm incredibly proud of each of you. This journey has shaped us not just as professionals, but as individuals. Let's continue to support each other as we move forward." The next day, the team began planning their next initiatives, focusing on expanding the network they had created among the communities. They brainstormed ways to enhance collaboration, knowing that the strength of their impact lay in the connections they had fostered. CORE took the lead, proposing a mentorship program that paired experienced farmers with those just starting out. We've seen how sharing knowledge can empower communities. This could be a way to strengthen ties and build resilience. That's an excellent idea, Joel added. It aligns perfectly with our goal of fostering sustainable practices. We should also incorporate storytelling sessions, where farmers can share their journeys and challenges. Cale nodded enthusiastically. And we can create a platform for these stories to be shared widely. This isn't just about agriculture, it's about community identity and resilience. Let's document and amplify their voices. As they outlined their plans, Dr. Nguyen marveled at how each team member had stepped into a leadership role in their own right. Their individual growth had become a collective strength, enabling them to tackle challenges with creativity and compassion. In the weeks that followed, they implemented the mentorship program, organizing workshops where experienced farmers could share their techniques and insights. CORE took the lead in coordinating the logistics, ensuring that each session was tailored to the community's needs. At one of the workshops, a seasoned farmer named Amir spoke about crop rotation. It's not just about planting, it's about understanding the land, he emphasized. We need to listen to the signs it gives us. Every year teaches us something new. CORE facilitated the discussion, encouraging participants to share their experiences with crop rotation and soil health. The room buzzed with excitement as ideas flowed freely, and Dr. Nguyen observed the genuine connections forming among the participants. Later that day, as the team gathered to debrief, CORE was visibly energized. Today was incredible. I could see the farmers connecting over their shared experiences. It reminded me why we do this. Joel nodded, their eyes sparkling. And the stories we gathered today are just as important as the techniques being shared. We need to capture those narratives and ensure they're part of our documentation. Cale, inspired by the day's events, suggested, let's create a digital archive where these stories can live. It could be a resource for future generations and help preserve their knowledge. Dr. Nguyen felt a rush of pride as she listened to her team brainstorm. They had transformed from a group of individuals into a cohesive unit, each contributing their unique strengths to a shared vision. Their growth was evident, not only in their skills, but in their ability to support and uplift one another. As the weeks turned into months, the mentorship program thrived. The bonds formed between experienced and novice farmers strengthened the community's resilience. Dr. Nguyen watched as CORE, Joel, and Cale continued to take on leadership roles, each embodying the values of collaboration and adaptability. One day, Dr. Nguyen received a call from Rohan, the elder they had worked with early in their journey. We've been implementing the techniques we discussed, he said, his voice filled with excitement. The crop yields are better than we expected. Our community is thriving, and we want to celebrate together. Absolutely. We'd love to come and celebrate with you, Dr. Nguyen replied, feeling a swell of joy. This is a testament to the hard work and collaboration we've fostered. As the team prepared for the celebration, they reflected on the journey they had taken. CORE had grown into a confident leader, Joel had mastered the art of storytelling, and Cale had become a strategic powerhouse. Each member had learned the value of vulnerability and the importance of building relationships. At the celebration, the community gathered to share food, stories, and laughter. Dr. Nguyen felt a profound sense of connection as she watched the villagers celebrate their collective achievements. This was what their work had been about, fostering resilience and empowerment. As Rohan addressed the crowd, Dr. Nguyen felt a sense of pride swell within her. Together, we've overcome challenges and found strength in our shared knowledge. This is a celebration of our unity and our journey. CORE stood by her side, their expression a mix of awe and gratitude. I never imagined we'd be part of something so impactful, they said, their voice filled with emotion. It's not just about the projects, it's about the relationships we've built. Joel added, and the stories we've shared. They remind us of our roots and our resilience. Each one of us has a role to play in this community. Kale, always the strategist, leaned in. We need to continue documenting these stories and sharing them beyond this community. It's a legacy we can leave behind. As the night wore on, Dr. Nguyen felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This journey had transformed them all, not just as professionals, but as individuals committed to making a difference. Their growth had been intertwined with the growth of the communities they served. In the months that followed, the network of communities continued to flourish. They shared knowledge, resources, and support, fostering resilience that transcended challenges. Dr. Nguyen's team remained committed to their role as facilitators, but they also recognized the power of the communities to lead their own change. Reflecting on their journey, Dr. Nguyen knew that they had grown into something greater than themselves. They had embraced the challenges, adapted to new circumstances, and forged connections that would last a lifetime. Each member had discovered their voice, their purpose, and their potential. As the final days of their project approached, Dr. Nguyen gathered her team one last time to reflect on their experiences. "What do you think will carry forward from this journey?" she asked, her voice filled with warmth. Core spoke first, their gaze thoughtful. "I'll carry the importance of connection. I've learned that collaboration is more powerful than any single idea. Together, we can achieve so much more." Joel nodded, adding, "For me, it's about the stories. I'll always remember the power of narratives and how they can inspire change. It's essential to honor those voices."